Chapter 53, Only Teach the Weakened Version of the Heaven-Slaying Art. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oh my God, Yi Chen seems to be carving the complete version of treading clouds on the stone wall, which is the level of Lingfang period. Don't doubt your eyes, this must be the complete version of treading clouds. What happened to Yi Chen today? He slapped all of us in the face yesterday, and he continued to slap us today. And he was not satisfied after just one slap, so he slapped us again today. Unbelievable, God has opened his eyes. So, can I learn treading clouds today? Starting tomorrow, I can get to the company in a few minutes every day. Supersonic. After learning it, you can feel what it feels like to run faster than the speed of sound. Not only that, since Yi Chen has taught the complete version of treading clouds in advance, there is no doubt that with his personality, in order to save time, he will definitely teach the new skills together. The audience in the live broadcast room were all dancing with excitement. No one expected that Yi Chen would suddenly teach the complete version of treading clouds in advance. This is totally inconsistent with the unanimous conclusion of psychological experts. He is simply addicted to slapping people in the face. Yesterday, when all mankind believed that Yi Chen was limited by his vision and did not understand that melee attacks were definitely not as good as long-range attacks. The new technique took a detour and the effect would definitely disappoint him. Yi Chen used an iron sword to easily kill the ridiculously defensive golden python, letting all mankind understand. It turned out that it was not that Yi Chen's vision was too low, but that all mankind in the Interstellar Era had too low a vision and could not imagine how powerful the power of the technique was. Early this morning, everyone thought that Yi Chen could not resist Hai Lan's temptation and would fall into the trap of the beauty trap. Yi Chen once again proved with facts that a mere heavenly sound and a mere talented and beautiful woman could not make him curious enough to meet Hai Lan. Although everyone still believed that Yi Chen could not resist the beauty trap carefully designed for him, they had to admit it. Hai Lan, this stunning beauty who was most likely sent by the federal government to approach Yi Chen, needs to work harder. What is even more unexpected is that the result that all psychological experts unanimously agreed on was still overturned by Yi Chen. He did not teach the complete version of treading clouds within 1 to 1.5 months, but was ready to teach it to Gully and others now. The face was slapped, and it made a loud slapping sound, but everyone was extremely happy. The shame of being slapped in the face is simply not worth mentioning. Compared to the torment of not being able to learn, all mankind hopes that there will be more slaps in the face. This is the treading clouds of the Lingfang period level, which is several times stronger than the treading clouds you have learned before. After engraving the formula and exercise diagram of the complete version of the treading clouds on the stone wall, Yi Chen began to explain the mental formula and various precautions of the treading clouds. Gully and others immediately suppressed their excitement and began to listen carefully. In the live broadcast room, although countless people rushed in after hearing the news, the number of people in the live broadcast room reached hundreds of billions in a short period of time, but it was extremely quiet. Even if they could watch the video later, everyone focused their attention and listened attentively to Yi Chen's explanation. The entire Milky Way became much quieter because of Yi Chen's teaching. Although Gully and others had already learned the weakened version of stepping on the clouds and their foundation was not bad, Yi Chen still spent more than 2 hours explaining and answering questions before they could barely learn it. The rest relied on mutual discussion and continuous practice to deepen their understanding. Seeing that everyone had no questions, Yi Chen did not waste any more time. He turned around, picked up the iron sword and carved 3 big characters on the stone wall. Zhan Tianju. Then he recorded the new method's mental formula and exercise diagram. Gully and others were overjoyed. The clan leader actually had another method to teach. Here it comes, the new technique is here. It's rare. It was just created yesterday, and we can learn it today. This is definitely a level of treatment. Zhan Tianju, this name is really domineering. Someone couldn't help but say proudly, not only is the name domineering, its value is even more domineering. One of my uncles is the deputy captain of a battleship. He called me early this morning and asked me to find the leader of the military academy and change the battleship command major to the infantry combat major. Is your uncle crazy? He doesn't let you learn the high-end and classy battleship soldiers, but lets you switch to infantry combat and become a cannon fodder infantry after graduation. You don't know, my uncle received an order from the top early in the morning that the military is going to reform. Especially the infantry, it's simply a teardown. The genetic warrior training program has been terminated. The annual military budget for the infantry, which was originally just cannon fodder, has increased 100 times. And this is just the beginning. Do you know what this means? It means that the infantry, which no one looked down upon before, is going to rise. And the reason is because of Yi Chen's newly created heaven-slaying art. This new technique has given the military hope for the rise of infantry and another way of fighting. Is it fake? If it were true, how could you leak such inside information? Why would I lie to you? Telling it out won't have much impact on me. Because with the rise of infantry, the conditions for conscription have also been greatly improved. The first thing to be affected is talent. It only took me 1 month and 7 days to break through from the first level of the Qi condensation stage to the first level of the spirit release stage. Now, the realm is even higher than that of Yi Chen, the founder, and has reached the 8th level of the spirit release stage. What are you going to do? Compete with me? Good guy, you are indeed Yi Chen. The new technique can only change all walks of life. Now, even the military is beginning to be affected. The viewers in the live broadcast room were filled with emotions. They all knew that the power of the heaven-destroying technique was far beyond imagination, but they did not expect that the advent of the heaven-destroying technique would actually lead to reforms in the military, causing the genetic warriors to disappear directly, and at the same time, they would devote all their efforts to cultivating infantry. However, everyone's attention quickly shifted to the heaven-slaying technique. Someone was surprised to find out, the movement map of Shantianju is much simpler than the movement map scanned by the scanner. I have had the experience of stepping on the clouds. Everyone understood immediately that this heaven-destroying technique was a weakened version of the heaven-destroying technique. This made the people who were extremely excited just now, thinking that they could finally learn all the new exercises and no longer have to suffer the pain of not being able to learn the exercises, as if a bucket of cold water was poured on their heads, and they were completely confused. No one could figure out why Yi Chen was wasting his time on making a weakened version of the heaven-slaying technique. The heaven-destroying technique and the cloud-stepping technique are both spiritual release techniques. The cloud-stepping technique at the spiritual release stage can be learned, and the heaven-destroying technique at the spiritual release stage can also be learned. Chapter 54, Changes with Each Passing Day. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I want to cry but I can't. I just can't understand. They are all Lingfang level skills. He has already taught the stepping cloud skills. Why did he come up with a weakened version of the heaven-slaying skills? I was so excited for nothing. I thought I had finally learned all of Yi Chen's skills and no longer had to worry about not being able to learn powerful skills. In the end, it was just a weakened version of the heaven-slaying skills. I was careless. No one can guess what Yi Chen is thinking. I had a feeling just now that I shouldn't be too happy too early, otherwise something bad will definitely happen. Forget it, be content. Before this, we always thought we had to. It takes more than a month to learn the complete version of stepping on the clouds. As a result, I learned it today, which is already a huge surprise. It's a surprise, but it's also really depressing. The main reason is that I thought Yi Chen would teach Cut the Sky, and when I was excited, I suddenly got this blow. So, in front of Yi Chen, you have to learn to control your emotions. Don't be too happy when you're happy, and don't be too depressed when you are depressed. Because we never know when Yi Chen will surprise us or when he will give us a blow. The audience in the live broadcast room sighed. It should be a great thing to be able to learn the complete version of stepping on the clouds more than a month in advance. However, when I thought that I would definitely learn Cut the Sky, it suddenly became a weakened version of Cut the Sky. This feeling is really uncomfortable. In the valley, Gully and others were undoubtedly surprised without knowing the complete version of Cut the Sky. They didn't expect that after learning the more powerful stepping clouds art, the clan leader would actually have a new technique to teach them. The weakened version of heaven-slashing art was a blow to the people of the Federation. For Gully and others, it was a double surprise. Heaven-slashing art has 6 styles. As the name suggests, you need to have the momentum to cut through the sky. This kind of unstoppable momentum is one of the essences of heaven-slashing art, but it is not absolute. Yi Chen began to explain the art formula of heaven-slashing art. He did not teach the heaven-slashing art of the Lingfang period, but spent time making a weakened version, all because Guli and others could not learn heaven-slashing art at this stage. Although like stepping clouds art, heaven-slashing art is also a technique of the Lingfang period. Theoretically, as long as you reach the Lingfang period, you can learn it. But theory is one thing, and reality is another. Heaven-slashing art requires the perception of sword intent. The sword intent is something that cannot be explained clearly by words and texts. It is the understanding and mastery of the sword. Even Yi Chen was extremely confused at the beginning, and he slowly grasped it with a flash of inspiration. It was even more confusing for Guli and the others. Without any foundation in the sword, Guli and the others would never be able to comprehend the sword intent. Therefore, Yi Chen could only settle for the second best. It would be a waste of time to make a weakened version of heaven-slaying art first. The main power comes from the exercise diagram. Secondly, it is the mystery of some sword techniques. When Guli and the others learn the weakened version of heaven-slaying art, through continuous practice, they will have a certain foundation in the sword, and then they will be able to slowly comprehend the existence of the sword intent. At that time, the complete version of heaven-slaying art can be taught. Fortunately, the weakened version of heaven-slaying art can also greatly increase the strength of Guli and other tribesmen in the spiritual release period, so there is no need to be too anxious. From the use of sword techniques to the mysteries of kendo and the power of sword energy, the explanation lasted from morning to evening, and Guli and others barely learned it. The audience in the live broadcast room also listened with gusto and kept praising the mystery of sword techniques, but the smiles on their faces were never as bright as Guli and others. After returning to the wooden house, Yi Chen began to concentrate on practicing. As he expected, after Guli and other tribesmen who broke through to the spiritual release period learned the complete version of stepping on the clouds and a weakened version of slashing the sky, the high-end combat power of the Xuanhuan tribe instantly reached a new level. Their strength immediately opened up to an extremely obvious degree with ordinary tribesmen. There were fierce beasts that could not be defeated, and the frequency of asking Yi Chen to deal with them also decreased significantly. With strong strength, more and more fierce beasts can be deterred. The speed of expansion has increased significantly. On the second day, the sphere of influence of the strongest talent system increased by 10,000 square kilometers. With the expansion of the sphere of influence and the improvement of talent, Yi Chen's practice speed is also increasing every day. Although it is still not obvious, it is increasing day by day. The dirty thatched houses of Yichen tribe were finally demolished and rebuilt. Countless woods were transported from the forest in the south to the valley. The whole tribe became orderly and brand new. But the biggest change was the spirit of the people in the tribe. Having enough food was once the greatest wish of the people in Yichen tribe. Now, this once unattainable wish has long become a thing of the past. Hundreds of kilometers in radius are all the territory of Yichen tribe. There are countless animals and plants in the territory, not to mention that the total population of Yichen tribe is only 1,600 to 1,700 people. Even if it is multiplied by 100 times, it is more than enough. All the tribesmen, regardless of gender, age or young, eat heartily every day. But they are only worried that there is too much food to eat. The human federation is also changing with each passing day. The number of vehicles that used to crisscross the streets and were as dense as ants has become less and less. The number of pedestrians on the wide roads has increased dramatically. The speed is even faster than those vehicles. As a result, the Federation has to reenact traffic rules, greatly increase the width of the sidewalks, and set up high-speed sidewalk areas. Running at full speed is strictly prohibited on ordinary sidewalks, in order to prevent someone from reacting in time and hitting those elderly and children who have no strength. Under supersonic collisions, it is more dangerous than being hit by a car. The era of universal cultivation has arrived. People practicing stepping on the clouds and slashing the sky can be seen everywhere in squares, parks and other leisure places. Various training courses for exercises have also sprung up on major life planets like mushrooms after rain. Many key universities are already studying the feasibility of opening cultivation. Majors, some foresight groups and companies are also recruiting talents to join with high salaries. These geniuses, after joining the groups and companies, may not be of much use in the short term. but no one can predict the future. Some far-sighted people have vaguely seen the beginnings of strength being respected in the depths of the era of money supremacy. The entire human society has undergone drastic changes due to Yi Chen's sudden appearance. And this drastic change is accelerating. Even the top analysts of the human race cannot analyze the future direction, because everything depends on how far Yi Chen can go and when his limit will come. The federal parliament, the military, the consortium, and various forces are all trying to plan for the future based on the current situation. Chapter 55, First Level of Spiritual Law. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Spring has gone and summer has arrived. The entire Yanshan mountain is full of flowers and flourishing. In the wooden house, Yi Chen's body shook slightly. A vast breath spread out from him. This breath seemed to be real. It woke up the sleeping little golden ball beside him. It also made the whole wooden house shake violently. In the room, the wind was howling, the ground was shaking slightly. Yi Chen opened his eyes suddenly. A gleam of light flashed by, the terrifying breath also disappeared. And calmed down. The room was in a mess, even the whole wooden house seemed to be crumbling. Finally broke through to, the spiritual law period. A smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. Breakthrough, breakthrough. Yi Chen has broken through to a new realm. Spiritual law period, what a good name. As expected of Yi Chen, the name he gave to the new realm is high-end and classy. Flatterer, Yi Chen's pause just now shows that the name of this new realm was obviously thought up by him on the spur of the moment. If something thought up on the spur of the moment can be so high-end and classy, it shows that Yi Chen is even more powerful. I feel that Yi Chen needs to move to a new house. According to the scanner, when he broke through just now, Yi Chen's Qi, meridians, and spiritual power underwent a qualitative change, which combined to form a magical momentum. This momentum almost destroyed the entire cabin. I feel that if it happens again, this cabin will definitely not be able to withstand it and will collapse in an instant. After discovering Yi Chen's breakthrough, the audience in the live broadcast room were even more excited than Yi Chen. The qualitative change of Qi, meridians, and spiritual power. Doesn't that mean, someone suddenly thought of Yi Chen's major discovery that he broke through from the 9th level of the condensation period to the 1st level of the spirit release period? This reminder immediately made all the audience react. Everyone called up the scanner data to check Yi Chen's gene value. The next second, they were stunned. Yi Chen's repair gene value soared by twice again. With the soaring repair gene value, the cell division period increased from 240 years to about 500 years. Everyone's head was buzzing. What this means couldn't be clearer. Oh my God! Breaking through to the Lingfa period, the upper limit of lifespan can be raised to 500 years. 500 years. It's doubled directly. Our human lifespan can actually reach up to 500 years. Crazy. If you advance to a higher realm, your lifespan can be doubled. According to this calculation, if you break through a higher realm on the basis of the Lingfa period, won't the upper limit of lifespan be over 1,000? At this moment, the entire galaxy fell into a carnival. New realm, Lingfa period. Yi Chen, the greatest and most dazzling genius in the history of the human race, his way of cultivation breaks the biggest flaw given to the human race by the will of the universe, lifespan. Lifespan has increased dramatically again. The upper limit of our human race's lifespan can reach up to 500 years. Moreover, this is most likely not the real upper limit. Yi Chen, he is already the most dazzling star in the history of the human race for tens of thousands of years. In the long history of the human race, no one can compete. Whether Yi Chen's upper limit is coming soon, whether Yi Chen can still create new skills, and whether Yi Chen will return. I suggest that the federal parliament introduce a policy to build a statue for Yi Chen on all life planets controlled by humans to commend his great contribution to the human race. Yi Chen, the only true god of the human race. All media are frantically praising Yi Chen, because this is the news that the people want to see most. Throughout the ages, countless figures have emerged in the history of the human race that are worthy of being recorded in the annals of history. Among these figures, there are even those who can change the course of human development. They are like countless stars in the Milky Way, lighting up the entire human race, but even if these stars are added together, they are not as dazzling as Yi Chen. no one can make all mankind change dramatically like Yi Chen, or even overthrow and change the entire human race, in the messy wooden house. Yi Chen took a few deep breaths and suppressed the joy in his heart. He closed his eyes slightly, tried to sense himself and everything around him. After breaking through to the Lingfa period, his qi high, meridians, and spiritual power have once again undergone qualitative changes. The strength has increased significantly, the perception ability is also clearer, indistinctly. One can even sense the law power between heaven and earth, which seems to exist and disappear without a trace. This law power seems to be the advancement of natural laws and the crystallization of natural laws. It is the trajectory of the universe and the rule of the great way of heaven and earth. This is also the reason why Yi Chen temporarily named the new realm as the Lingfa period. He can already perceive the existence of the laws of heaven and earth. With the laws of heaven and earth that he has perceived, he can even create various spells. The only thing that makes Yi Chen feel sorry is that after breaking through to the Lingfa period, he still has not produced an existence similar to divine consciousness. In his opinion, this divine consciousness should be the seventh consciousness outside the six consciousnesses. Eyes, ears, mouth, nose, body, and mind are the six senses that humans are born with. With the six consciousnesses, humans can see, hear, taste, smell, touch and feel everything. The seventh consciousness outside the six consciousnesses is the sum of the six consciousnesses. It can see objects without eyes, hear sounds without ears, taste without mouth. Its existence does not require the help of eyes, ears, mouth, and nose like the six senses. It does not have the distance limit of the six consciousnesses, and it far exceeds the intensity of the six consciousnesses. The techniques Yi Chen conceived to control ferocious beasts by being able to identify their masters by dripping blood, alchemy techniques, and weapon refining techniques were all based on the possession of divine consciousness. Fortunately, even after breaking through to the spiritual technique stage, spiritual consciousness still did not arise, but the ability of perception has reached the level of comprehending the laws of heaven and earth. According to his feeling, the generation of divine consciousness should not be far away. Breaking through to the next great realm, there is a high probability that divine consciousness will arise. As for now, since we can realize the power of the laws of heaven and earth, the natural thing is to find a way to create a set of spells. Soon, a new question was placed in front of Yi Chen. What kind of spell is created? Fire spell. It can cast a sea of fire that fills the sky, and can even melt steel easily. Wind spell. Can you fly in the wind, with the wind blowing like a blade with your hand? Or, one of water spells, earth spells, and wood spells. It seems that they are all useful. Think twice. A bright color flashed in Yi Chen's eyes, tangled up in a ball of yarn. Want them all? Find a way to create a set of spell-like techniques that can accommodate hundreds of rivers. The only trouble is that the time required will increase significantly. There are gains and there are losses. Yi Chen quickly decided. Spend more time and create a set of spell-like techniques that can accommodate hundreds of rivers. Once created and promoted to the entire Yanshan tribe, the average strength of the Yanshan tribe will increase by more than 10 times. A single type of spell is far less powerful than the combination of various spells. Possessing the ability to fly into the sky and escape from the earth can also maximize the power of the heaven-destroying art. Chapter 56, Conjecture about Yi Chen's upper limit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Determine the next goal of creating new exercises. Yi Chen didn't hesitate anymore. Immediately sit cross-legged. Start improving the chaos technique first. As the founder of spiritual practice, I don't have any reference or experience, so I have to do everything by myself. One of the troubles is that every time you advance to a higher level, the previous training methods must be improved. Only by improving to the point of cultivation suitable for that realm can you continue to practice and improve your realm. In just a few hours, he improved the chaos art to the spiritual level. Then, he began to quietly comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. Gigi, next to him, the little golden ball that had been observing Yi Chen suddenly felt disappointed. It could feel that Yi Chen's aura had obviously increased several times. I thought I could go out with Yi Chen and have some fun with some ferocious beasts. Unexpectedly, Yi Chen, whose strength had increased dramatically, still had no plans to go out. This makes it very disappointed by its nature of being extravagant, but there is nothing I can do if I am disappointed again. After chirping and complaining a few times, it lay down next to Yi Chen again and continued sleeping. Yi Chen doesn't seem to be practicing. The scanner shows that his spiritual power is not running through his meridians. He must be conceiving and researching new techniques. Good guy, he is indeed a serious otaku. After breaking through to a new level and increasing his strength dramatically, anyone else would go out for a walk, right? If it were me, I would have to find a few more powerful ferocious beasts to show off my soaring strength. It's good for him. He started studying the new technique directly. The point is that the house is about to collapse, and he doesn't care. Geniuses are like this, they don't stick to trivial matters. The high priest who is responsible for all affairs is a waste. He does whatever Yi Chen asks him to do, and he doesn't know how to find someone to build a stone house for Yi Chen at the end of the valley. With the current strength and manpower of the Yanshan tribe, it is completely possible to build a spacious, bright and comfortable residence for Yi Chen. I think little Jinxiu is quite pitiful. He is so active. But he has a serious otaku owner who never leaves the house all day long. He can only play with a spiritual stone over and over again. A spiritual stone larger than its body was forced to play with it until it was only the size of a glass bead. Yi Chen has never petted his golden hair, and he has no experience of being pampered by his owner. The viewers in the live broadcast room were full of emotions. The thinking of genius is always so elusive. The thoughts of Yi Chen, the greatest genius in human history, are even more difficult for ordinary people to fathom. He has clearly broken through to a new level and his strength has soared. As a result, I was only happy for a few seconds, and then I immediately devoted myself to researching and creating new exercises. A genius who works to such an extent makes all human beings feel ashamed of themselves. By the way, many experts say that although Yi Chen's talent is at the top of our human pyramid, his talent in creating new techniques has almost reached its upper limit. The test announcements issued by those research institutes seem to say the same thing. According to the research results of these experts and research institutes, although Yi Chen's level has not yet reached the upper limit, his talent in creating new techniques has almost reached the upper limit. Some people couldn't help but worry, do you think Yi Chen's new technique won't be able to be created? It shouldn't be the case. After Yi Chen breaks through, the first step is to consolidate his realm. Someone immediately stood up to object to this inference. Then, it seems that the chaos technique is being improved. The chaos technique of the spiritual release period is improved to be suitable for cultivation in the spiritual technique period. The time it took was only about 3 hours. It's not much different from the time it took to improve the chaos art during the Qi condensation stage. According to this calculation, it should be about the same difficulty for him to create a skill at the spiritual level as it is to create a skill at the spiritual release level. This remark was quickly refuted. The time to improve the chaos technique cannot be used as a reference standard at all. Because it is based on the existing exercise formulas and movement maps, how much time it takes depends on luck. The real reference is the time it takes to create new techniques. During the Qi condensation stage, it only took Yi Chen a month to create the chaos art or the flying knife art. But after the spiritual release period, it took him 2 months to create the cloud stepping technique and heaven destroying technique. Theoretically, it would take 4 months for him to create a spiritual technique. And there may be more. You have to understand that the upper limit of talent is not calculated in this way. The higher the level, the difficulty will only increase exponentially. Indeed, I feel that if Yi Chen wants to create a spiritual technique, he should still be able to do it. But at least, I'm afraid it will take 4 months. If more, 4 years is possible. That's not necessarily true. The expert's words have no credibility at all. Common sense cannot be used to infer Yi Chen's case. Don't forget, normally, even with the help of spiritual stones, Yi Chen would still need more than 10 days to break through to the spiritual art stage. But what's the result? Didn't he break through to the spiritual art stage earlier than expected? Everyone was debating whether Yi Chen's new technique could be created. Some think it is possible, some think it may be impossible to create new skills, and some think it can be created, but it will take a long time. Each has his own opinion and his own basis, but more people still tend to think that Yi Chen has not reached the upper limit of creating skills, but is approaching the upper limit. New skills can be created, but it will take a long time. Whether the new technique takes 4 months or 4 years, I want to know when Yi Chen will teach the complete version of heaven slashing technique and the chaos technique of the spiritual law period. Just wait and see. Relying on the complete version of cloud stepping technique and the weakened version of heaven slashing technique, the high-end combat power of the Yenshan tribe, once they join forces, can almost walk sideways in Yenshan. Especially those geniuses like Gully, who are about to break through to the first level of the spiritual law period, will have a significant increase in strength by then, and the Yenshan mountains will no longer have any rivals. It is only a matter of time for the Yanhuang tribe to unify the entire Yenshan mountains. Yi Chen's ambition to unify the Yenshan mountains has been realized, and the average strength of the Yanhuang tribe will remain the same. The possibility of teaching more techniques is very small. Therefore, it is almost a luxury to expect Yi Chen to teach the complete version of heaven slashing technique and the chaos technique of the spiritual law period. But there is no need to worry, there are still those serious criminals sent by the federal government to approach Yi Chen. As long as if one of them succeeds, all problems will be solved. Besides, the era of universal cultivation has officially arrived, and many universities have already opened cultivation majors, and middle schools and elementary schools will surely follow suit. It won't be long before the cultivation method created by Yi Chen will become a required course. In this case, geniuses will continue to emerge, just like in various disciplines, and continue to promote the development of this discipline. This is also the future development direction of our human race, even if Yi Chen is exhausted and can no longer create new exercises. Even if Yi Chen is unwilling to teach new exercises, all the heavy criminals sent to approach him will fail. This cultivation method will not be cut off, but the speed of breakthrough will be slower. Breakthrough to the spiritual law period will have a lifespan limit of 500 years, and we can wait for it. As for when Yi Chen will teach the complete version of Zhan Tian Ju and the spiritual law period level chaos Ju, the people also have different ideas. Some are worried and tormented, some are optimistic and believe that the heavy criminals sent by the federal parliament will soon be able to solve this problem. Moreover, even if Yi Chen runs out of ideas, the human race's geniuses can stand on the shoulders of Yi Chen and continue to develop this cultivation method. As for whether this is true, only Yi Chen knows. Chapter 57, Hai Lan, the Restless and Irritable. You are listening at novelfull.audio. For more than 2 months, Yi Chen stayed in the wooden house to comprehend the power of the law. Moreover, there was no sign of ending. This seemed to verify the inference of experts and scholars. Yi Chen has already reached the upper limit in creating the skills, and according to the process of Yi Chen's previous creation of the chaos art and flying knife art. Diamond suit. At present, it is only the first stage of creating the skills. When the comprehension is over, it will take the same amount of time to study a set of exercise diagrams. Even if the comprehension is over now, it will take more than 2 months to create a new skill. Added together, it will take nearly 5 months. This alone is in line with the time inferred by experts and scholars. Not to mention that Yi Chen is still in the comprehension so far, and there is no sign of ending. No one knows that the skills created by Yi Chen this time are completely different from the previous skills. To be honest, he is not creating a single skill now, but a collection of several or even dozens of skills. To create a method to cast fire, Yi Chen only needs to comprehend the power of the fire law. To create a method to cast lightning, Yi Chen only needs to comprehend the power of the electric law. To create a collection of various spells, it means that he must first comprehend the power of various laws of different natures. The speed is naturally not that fast. If it weren't for the fact that the Yanhuang tribe controlled an area close to 1 million square kilometers, his talent, which was almost doubled on the basis of the highest level of the human race, would take even longer. With only the strongest talent of the human race, it might take several years to create this set of skills, as many people speculate. At present, with Yi Chen's talent almost doubled, it naturally doesn't take that long. Moreover, as his sphere of influence expands, his talent can continue to improve, and the time required will naturally not increase exponentially. At the same time, as the people speculated, in the past 2 months, although Gully and others have broken through to the first level of the spiritual law period, their realm has stagnated. However, Yi Chen never taught the complete version of heaven-slashing art and chaos art of the spiritual law period. Many people actually guess the reason. One is for his own safety. Yi Chen is now busy comprehending the laws of heaven and earth and has no time to practice. In terms of realm, he has been stagnant at the first level of the spiritual law period. Naturally, he will not teach the chaos art of the spiritual law period and the complete version of heaven-slashing art to others, so that the realm of geniuses such as Gully will surpass himself and increase the risk factor. Then, the high-end combat power of the Yenshan tribe is already invincible in the Yenshan mountains, and there is no need to improve its strength. The difference is that no one knows that Yi Chen's ambition and goal are far more than just the Yenshan mountains. With the population of the Yenshan tribe, even if the population of the tribes in the surrounding areas is added, it is indeed enough to reproduce and thrive in the Yenshan mountains alone for decades, or even hundreds of years without feeling crowded. But what Yi Chen wants is not just enough space for the human race to reproduce. What he wants is an endless vast territory, or even a vast starry sky. At the very least, he should occupy the entire planet first. As for such a huge area, the human race does not have so many people to control it, so we can talk about it later. At worst, after unifying the entire planet, if the strength realm is not enough to cross the starry sky, he will lie dormant for 18,000 years. While improving the strength realm, he waits for the human race to multiply and grow. Anyway, the sooner he has a vast sphere of influence, the higher his talent will be. It is precisely because of this that he did not pass on the chaos art of the spiritual law period and the complete version of heaven-slashing art, which are only temporary. When the new skills are created, he can practice and improve his realm with peace of mind, which is when he starts to teach the skills. In midsummer, the sun is shining, cicadas are chirping, and birds are singing. The valley is full of vitality. Children can be seen everywhere, playing tirelessly under the scorching sun. There is a special wooden house in the southeast of the tribe. The reason why it is special is that other wooden houses are all the same. Even the houses of the high priest and the 4 leaders are only slightly larger than the houses of ordinary tribesmen. Although the wooden house in the southeast is similar to the wooden houses of ordinary tribesmen in size and shape, but its roof and walls are painted with a layer of milky white sap and various bird and animal patterns. There is also a small flower bed at the door. Various gorgeous flowers are planted in it, and butterflies are flying among them. This wooden house is more conspicuous and stands out from the crowd in the tribe than the houses of the high priest and the 4 leaders. Walking into the wooden house, it is even more different. There are no messy tools, no piles of fur and animal meat, there are no pungent smells. The area is not large, but it is clean and tidy. In the corner, there are even a few iron flower pots with fragrant flowers planted in them. On the wooden bed with exquisite carvings, Hylon had no intention of practicing. She stood up. She was restless. The difficulty of this mission was far beyond her expectations. No wonder they offered me a sky-high price of 10 billion. None of these top rich people are willing to take advantage of me. She even regretted a little why she couldn't resist the temptation and accepted this seemingly simple task, but it was too late to regret. Even if she had to do it again, she doubted that she would still choose to accept this task. There was no way. The 10 billion bonus was too tempting. She was a top business spy. Since her debut, she had never failed, no matter what kind of business secrets the employer wanted to get. As long as the price was high enough, she could always complete the task. Compared with the tasks she had taken before, this task was simply not worth mentioning. In summary, it was close to being a genius, trying to make the other party fall in love with her, so that she would respond to her requests. Moreover, this genius was born in the wild era. He had no experience in various conspiracies and tricks, and knew very little. Even, he was a pure boy with no emotional experience. It was so simple that Hylon felt that this employer was just a fool who gave her a huge bonus. In the business espionage world, she was a famous goddess of change. She could be gentle and proud, sweet and cool, to approach those ruthless, heartless business tycoons who are knowledgeable about beautiful women. You may have to collect information, cater to their preferences, and rack your brains to study the serial traps to set up a trap. It is too easy to approach this innocent boy who has no experience and whose vision remains in the wild era. What is the result? After coming here, she found that this innocent boy who has no emotional experience and low vision has a terrifyingly strong willpower. He is not tempted by her at all. what makes her headache even more is that the target is actually a paranoid who works so hard that it makes people desperate. For more than 2 months, he has not left the door once. Her carefully decorated wooden house was wasted. Chapter 58, Taking the Initiative. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What should I do? Anxiety flashed across Hai Lan's eyes. Yi Chen will have to go out sooner or later, but it's hard for her to be sure how long it will take, and even if she goes out, it's hard to predict whether she will be attracted to her own house. Diamond suit, after all, she has already failed once. The sound of her flute, which she played carefully, hinted to the high priest and asked him to recommend her to Yi Chen. This should have been a sure thing, but it ended in failure. In the wild era, her flute was definitely the kind of music that could control other people's hearts, but in the end, it couldn't even arouse Yi Chen's curiosity. Her appearance, in the wild world, belongs to the ranks of peerless beauties. The men of the tribe, even some old people, looked at her with greed, and they were all looking for various opportunities to get close to her. The house she carefully decorated was also incompatible with the times and full of beauty. In the room, the light was soft, the bed was comfortable, and the fragrance was pleasant, which made people involuntarily imagine, logically speaking, once Yi Chen saw it, he would slowly fall into it, but logically, this thing cannot be used on Yi Chen. Moreover, she did not have time to drag it on. As far as she knew, the 4 armies were already close to the edge of the Yanshan Mountains. If they expanded further, they would soon encounter other tribes. Once those tribes were annexed, it meant that her competitors would increase significantly. Now that she had not established a close relationship with Yi Chen and established an advantage, it would be even more difficult to do so at that time. I can't wait any longer. After thinking for a long time, Hai Lan finally decided to take the initiative. She was fed up with the life in the wild era. She had to eat the same beast meat every day and eat it with a heroic look. She was even more fed up with this body. On the exile planet, although this body was a stunning beauty, it could still attract countless greedy and envious eyes, but her aesthetics were different from those on the exile planet. Her huge bones, dark and rough skin, and loud voice made her feel uncomfortable. She must complete the mission as soon as possible, find a way to return to other planets in the Milky Way, and restore her previous appearance. She took a deep breath, went to the corner, and took out a snakeskin bag. Inside, there were several dried flowers that still exuded a strange fragrance. After taking out one and grinding it into powder with a stone, Hai Lan gently applied the fragrant powder on the arteries of her neck and wrist. Then, she opened the door. She walked towards Yi Chen's wooden house at the end of the valley. Hey, what is she going to do? In the live broadcast room, there were still many people paying attention to Hai Lan. After all, she was the first serious criminal who successfully infiltrated the Yanshan tribe, and it was very likely that the people wanted to obtain various skills in advance. Her abnormal behavior immediately attracted the attention of many people. Even, it attracted the audience in the live broadcast room to move the camera to her. I guess she can't help it and wants to take the initiative. Some viewers guessed her intention at the first time. Gully has proved that even if a stunning beauty throws herself into his arms, it is useless. Yi Chen's determination is so strong that it is unimaginable. Besides, if she takes the initiative, her temptation will be greatly reduced. I think so too. Her layout during this period is actually very good. Whether it is the shape of the wooden house or the decoration inside the wooden house, it looks very attractive. She should stay here honestly and wait for Yi Chen to notice the unusualness of the wooden house, and then gradually go deeper and discover her unusualness. Taking the initiative is too low class, and the attraction will be reduced. That may not be the case. Passive waiting is too slim. Taking the initiative is not impossible. After all, she is a professional, far from what Gully can compare to. Only after contacting Yi Chen can she exert her ability. Since I can't contact Yi Chen all the time, it's better to take the initiative to find him like now. Although it is less mysterious and tempting, it is harmless. The audience in the live broadcast room suddenly became excited. That's right. Just because Gully can't throw herself at him doesn't mean Hai Lan can't either. There's a world of difference between the two. I don't know if you still remember that Gully threw herself at him after Yi Chen had just killed the green leopard. Besides, there was also the super-large light bulb, Rog, by her side. Plus the huge corpse of the green leopard. it's normal that Yi Chen is not interested in Gully. Hailan is different. She is well dressed, and Yi Chen has been staying at home for more than 2 months, living a boring life all day long, and came to him. In terms of language and actions, as a professional, Hailan will definitely kill Gully in seconds. Plus the mysterious feeling created before, the hope of success is great. If it really succeeds, maybe in the next 2 days, we can learn the complete version of heaven-slashing art and the chaos art at the level of the spiritual law period. That the audience in the live broadcast room became more and more excited as they talked. Everyone's attention was focused on Hailan, looking forward to her beauty plan being successfully implemented. In the valley, Hailan came all the way to Yi Chen's wooden house. Although she attracted a lot of attention, most of them were men's greed and women's jealousy, no one stopped her. This is also one of the reasons why the high priest, the actual ruler of the Yichen tribe, is unqualified. There is not even a guard outside the house of Yi Chen, the tribe leader. Of course, this is also due to the lack of manpower in the Yichen tribe. The entire tribe has a population of more than 1,600 people, except for the elderly and children. There are less than 1,000 adults. Most of them have joined the 4 armies of the 4 leaders. A small number of them are responsible for transporting various materials and liaisons, and they can't spare many people. When she came to the door of Yi Chen's room, Hailan took a deep breath and quickly reorganized her thoughts. In her mind, she raised her hand and knocked on Yi Chen's door gently. Bang bang sounded. On the wooden bed, the little golden ball jumped up excitedly. Yi Chen also opened his eyes, just about to get up to open the door. Squeak. The little golden ball was obviously suffocated during this period. It jumped up, rushed to jump off the wooden bed, and ran to open the door. Yi Chen didn't stop it. Although the little golden ball is only a dozen centimeters tall, its strength has reached the level of 10 fierce beasts. Whether it is jumping or strength, it is extraordinary. It ran all the way to the door. With a leap, it pushed the bolt of the door open directly. Then, it grabbed the crack of the door and pushed it open. With a creaking sound, Hailan outside the door came into view. "Who are you?" Yi Chen was surprised. He thought it was the high priest who came to him to report something, but he didn't expect that the person standing at the door was a tribe member he had never seen before. "Chief, my name is Hailan, can I come in?" Hailan asked. There was a light of admiration and expectation in her eyes, and there was tenderness and shyness in her loud voice. Her fingers stirred gently. With that burly figure and rough dark skin, there was a delicate look of a little woman in her wildness. Yi Chen almost vomited. The audience in the live broadcast room almost vomited, and at the same time, they were inexplicably excited. Chapter 59, Even the most beautiful woman is severely punished. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Awesome, professionals are professionals, they are totally incomparable to Gully. It's really amazing, the movements and gestures are both rough and bold like the peerless beauties in the wild world, and also refreshingly tender and charming. The audience in the live broadcast room were all full of praise. As expected of a professional, this move is really extraordinary. Is it as good as you say? Someone couldn't help but ask curiously, why did I almost vomit because of her expression and actions? You have different aesthetics, so of course you can't appreciate it. Someone explained, the simplest example is that in our interstellar era, a peerless beauty who is as beautiful as a fairy, sometimes gentle and quiet, sometimes bold and wild, sometimes shy and weak, and sometimes wild and generous. Can you resist this temptation? Of course I can't resist it. It's like marrying one, which is equivalent to marrying a large group of peerless beauties with different personalities. If it's an ugly girl, who is sometimes iceberg beauty in front of you, and sometimes gentle and cute, what will you do? You will feel sick and want to vomit. Appearance is justice. When a peerless beauty behaves and speaks in a way that is inconsistent with her image, it will increase her temptation and attraction. In our eyes, Hailan is a peerless ugly woman. But in the wild world, in Yi Chen's eyes, she is a peerless beauty. Experts can tell whether it is good or not at the first try. Professionals are professionals, and the success rate is directly maxed out. That the audience in the live broadcast room were full of expectations. They stared at Yi Chen without blinking. They hoped to see a heartbeat on Yi Chen's face. However, nothing happened. Yi Chen suppressed his nausea and frowned. If you have anything to ask me, just say it. Chief. Hai Lan twisted her waist, stretched her voice, and acted like a spoiled child. Yi Chen almost couldn't help it and slashed at her with his sword. Fortunately, he had extraordinary concentration and held back. The human race was the cornerstone of his conquest of the world. Unless it was a heinous crime, he would not kill any of them. I'll give you one last chance, just say it if you have something to say. Yi Chen's tone was already filled with deep displeasure. Hai Lan was startled by this tone. What's going on? The carefully designed demeanor, language, and actions not only failed to arouse the other party's interest and curiosity, but were full of impatience. Pretending? But this is a wild world, there is no need to hide one's desires, not to mention, the person in front of him is the chief of the Yichen tribe, so there is no need to pretend to be disgusted when he likes her. What's going on? This is unscientific. Could it be that Yi Chen is really a straight man? I have some doubts. Is his aesthetic the same as ours? This possibility is almost zero. Let's not talk about anything else. In our interstellar era, among billions of men, how many can like extremely ugly women? Could it be that he is not interested in women? This is a bit possible. Otherwise, he would not have this attitude. If it were a normal man, he would have been stuck in the wooden house for more than 2 months. A sweet and salty goddess came to him on her own initiative. Even if he had good self-control, he would at least not treat her coldly. I really want to get into Yi Chen's head and see why his thoughts and ideas are always so difficult to understand. The audience in the live broadcast room were all confused. Clan leader, I don't quite understand the cloud stepping technique. I would like to ask for your guidance. Hai Lan's mind raced, and he did not continue to tempt her, but jumped directly into the second step. Ask for advice. Why do I feel like I'm going to fail again? Ask Yi Chen for advice on the cloud stepping art. Isn't that asking for trouble? With Yi Chen's personality, how could he be willing to waste time instructing his tribesmen alone? No, this is where Hai Lan is so powerful. A peerless beauty asks for advice, and she asks about the field where she has an absolute advantage. This is something no man can refuse. You know, everyone likes to be a teacher. Especially in the areas where they are best, they are eager for someone to ask for advice. Under normal circumstances, Yi Chen may not be willing to give advice. But he has been stuck in the cabin for more than 2 months, so it is very likely that he will agree. I still think it's not very reliable. Anyway, I have figured out that when everyone is optimistic, the result must be the opposite. Now that you put it that way, it seems to be true. Yi Chen's ideas can never be judged by common sense. It feels like the guy who said the success rate is 100% is going to be slapped in the face again. The audience in the live broadcast room was tortured by Yi Chen's unconventional attitude. They seemed a little neurotic and even began to question the results of their own judgments. In the wooden house, a fierce look flashed across Yi Chen's eyes. Is this endless? If one plan fails, another one will come up with. Ever since the high priest recommended Hai Lan to him with all his strength more than 2 months ago, he guessed that Hai Lan must want to get close to him. The reason is very simple. If Hai Lan had not promised the high priest some benefits, the high priest would never do so, because if Hai Lan really became the wife of the tribe leader, the high priest's power in the tribe would at least be divided. However, Yi Chen didn't take it seriously at that time. Which woman in the tribe doesn't want to become the wife of the tribe leader? Ignore it and it will be solved. He really didn't expect that Hai Lan would be so bold and tempt him again and again. There was no sense of awe at all. In the Yichen tribe, he was a godlike existence. Even though he had just arrived, he had stayed for more than 2 months. Tribe leader. Seeing Yi Chen's angry face, Hai Lan felt something was wrong. Let the high priest inform Gully that you have disturbed my practice without reason. You will be punished with 100 lashes and imprisoned for 3 months. After 3 months, whether you have repented and how to arrange it will be determined by Gully. Yi Chen scolded sternly. Tribe leader, I. Hai Lan was shocked. This punishment was too severe for her. She wanted to argue a few words, but she didn't know what to say. Do you have any objections? Yi Chen asked coldly. No. Hai Lan's face was pale. she could see that if she continued to argue, the punishment would definitely escalate. Her heart was suddenly filled with despair. It was over. She really couldn't figure out whether she had made a mistake or Yi Chen's thoughts were beyond the prediction of ordinary people. It would have been fine if she had not succeeded by taking the initiative to come to the door, but she was severely punished and almost lost hope. This result was something she had never expected. Before she came, in her opinion, even if she failed, at most she would be rejected and cause dissatisfaction to Yi Chen. She could start over again after a while. Yi Chen turned around and returned to the wooden bed, and soon threw Hai-Lan out of his mind and continued to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. The little golden ball was obviously good at observing words and expressions. It carefully closed the door and climbed onto the wooden bed on tiptoe. It lay beside Yi Chen and continued to sleep obediently. Chapter 60 The Reason Why the Little Golden Ball Stayed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay. As I expected, the beauty trap failed. More than a failure, Hai-Lan was almost banished to the cold palace and labeled as never favored. Yi Chen, but he directly threw her to Gully. The audience in the live broadcast room sighed continuously. If there is anyone in the Yenshan tribe who doesn't like Hai-Lan, then there is no doubt that Gully must be ranked first. As the first beauty of the Yenshan tribe, Gully has an extraordinary and special status in the Yenshan tribe. As a result, a stunning beauty who is not inferior to her in image and even versatile, and makes the men in the tribe unable to resist her charm, came from the sky. Gully must be unhappy in her heart. She naturally dislikes Hai-Lan. It's even more unpleasant to learn that Hai-Lan actually tried to get close to Yi Chen. Gully also admires Yi Chen. At present, Hai-Lan, the rival in love, has fallen into Gully's hands. How could Gully let go of this opportunity? Yi Chen's punishment was cruel and ruthless. I really don't understand why this beauty trap failed and was even severely punished. So, you are not the greatest genius in the history of our human race. I told you long ago that Yi Chen's ideas are not something that ordinary people like us can guess. When I heard you say that the success rate is full, 100% and so on, I knew that this matter is hanging. Alas, Hai-Lan failed. Not only is it difficult for her to have hope, but it also makes it much more difficult for those who come after her. We can only let it go and see if other people have better means. The audience in the live broadcast room was soon relieved. In a sense, Yi Chen's contribution to the human race is to improve the mentality of all mankind. Because of his unexpected attitudes, all mankind has been disappointed. Once the number of disappointments increases, the psychological endurance will also rise. The headquarters building of Yao Group, in the chairman's office, looking at Hai-Lan who was on the verge of success. Bang! Chairman Lien Zhangqing angrily smashed the red wine glass in his hand. Waste, what a waste! Lien Zhangqing was furious. The red wine was ready, just waiting for the success to celebrate. He never thought that Hai-Lan's proactive attack would fail, and failed so thoroughly. He was happy for nothing. He had always felt that he was very lucky during this period of time. This was God's help, because he spent a huge price to send 2 fake serious criminals to the exiled planet. One of them was actually directly dropped on Yenshan by a transport plane. Moreover, he was the only one dropped on Yenshan. This luck was simply invincible, because the federal parliament was so lenient in the early transportation of serious criminals to the exile planet that it was unbelievable. But the strict places were also so strict that no matter how much it cost, it could not be compromised. Like arranging people to mix in with serious criminals, it was completely defenseless. Background and so on, no check at all. As long as you are willing to spend money, you can arrange it. Even the intelligent brain that arranged the hacker to invade the warship, change various image data, and even let the serious criminals carry some special items, all of which were allowed to do so. Lien Zhangqing even suspected that the parliament did not even investigate the traitors of the 10,000 races, and allowed the traitors of the 10,000 races to infiltrate the serious criminals. Strangely, it is a strict place, but it is extremely strict. First of all, the serious criminals must not have any strength and must not carry lethal weapons. This point can be said to be a layer-by-layer screening. After one wave of checks, there is no flaw at all. It is useless to spend money. For example, the placement of serious criminals is also completely randomly placed by the intelligent brain. Any hacker who attempts to invade the system to change the random placement location will be counterattacked by a large number of hackers. it is conceivable how lucky it is to be directly placed in the Yichen Mountains. The fake serious criminal closest to Yi Chen is undoubtedly the first one to succeed. After all, in everyone's eyes, Yi Chen was born in a wild world, had no experience in intrigue, and put all his energy into practicing and creating new skills, so he was completely defenseless. As long as you get close to Yi Chen, you will succeed 100%, whoever is closest to Yi Chen will be the first to succeed. Last time, Yi Chen was able to ignore Hai Lan's flute, which made Lian Zhanqing feel incredible. What he didn't expect was that Hai Lan took the initiative to attack, but failed again. Even more, she was banished to the cold palace. Damn, can intrigue be learned without a teacher? Lian Zhanqing couldn't figure it out. After thinking about it, he thought that the main reason for Hai Lan's failure was that Yi Chen saw her intention. Otherwise, there was no way to explain it. It can't be that Yi Chen is not interested in women, right? In the case that Yi Chen also did not show interest in men, the probability of this possibility is almost zero. What he couldn't understand was how Yi Chen, who had no experience in this area, could see Hai Lan's intention at a glance, and why he could make such a quick and decisive decision. But whether he could figure it out or not, the facts were in front of him. He spent a huge price to send 2 serious criminals to the exile planet, and one of them had been disabled. Moreover, he was disabled when there was the greatest hope. If he hadn't experienced so many storms, Lian Zhanqing would have been so angry that he would have vomited blood. Yichen tribe. The news that Hai Lan had been severely punished for disturbing Yi Chen privately had spread. The whole tribe was in an uproar. Even a peerless beauty could be severely punished for a small matter, let alone others. The tribesmen's awe of Yi Chen became stronger, and Yi Chen himself had already thrown this matter out of the sky and was still concentrating on comprehending the laws of heaven and earth. The only thing that diverted his attention was that he accidentally discovered that after the little golden ball absorbed spiritual energy and reached the peak of level 10, it began to absorb the spiritual power in his sea of qi. This made him vaguely understand why the little golden ball was killed twice by him and still insisted on staying by his side. Obviously, she had a violent personality and was wild and unruly, so why could she endure loneliness and stay by his side all the time? The little golden ball seemed to regard him as a host or something like that. It is also similar to many wild beasts and fierce beasts. After they are born, they regard the creature they see at first sight as their greatest support and relative. According to Yi Chen's guess, this little golden ball is definitely an extremely powerful fierce beast. This can be seen from the fact that it has extremely high intelligence since its infancy. At the beginning, the little golden ball should have accidentally discovered his existence by relying on intuition or strong perception. Then, it chose him as its host and absorbed the spiritual power in his sea of qi as the source of power. With the source of power, the little golden ball can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to improve its strength, and after reaching a certain level, it needs to absorb the spiritual power in his sea of qi to replenish the source of power. From the fact that the little golden ball is not interested in the spiritual power of other tribesmen, it seems that whoever it chooses first will be the only source of power in the future. It is precisely because of this that the little golden ball can endure loneliness and temper and always stay by Yi Chen's side, because without Yi Chen, its strength will stagnate after reaching a certain level and cannot be improved. This is undoubtedly a good thing for Yi Chen. This means that in the future, he will not only have an object to study the laws of life, but also a pet with a very high upper limit of strength and loyalty. The only trouble is that when the little golden ball grows to a certain level, it needs to absorb his spiritual power. This may be a big hidden danger for others. After all, the little golden ball improves very quickly, and the spiritual power it needs to absorb will inevitably continue to rise. If things go wrong, the speed at which the little golden ball absorbs spiritual power will exceed the speed of its own cultivation. Yi Chen has no such concerns. No matter how high the upper limit of the little golden ball's talent is, it can't be higher than him, the most talented person in the human race. Not to mention, his talent can be improved quickly. Now, the talent has almost doubled. If it were someone else, they would worry that the upper limit of the little golden retriever's talent is too high. If it were Yi Chen, he would only hope that the upper limit of the little golden retriever's talent would be as high as possible.